desperately difficult thing. The country was really virtually on its knees by this stage.
But the tide was turning. The combination of harsh containment measures and mass vaccination was reducing the spread of the disease.
By mid-July, we got the figure of 100,000 people infecting 90,000 people. Now, that's a lot of people still being infected, but the number we were looking for is for each person infected, one person or less than one person being infected. And if you think that before that each infected person was infecting 10 or 20 other people, and that was increasing exponentially, 1-to-1 or less than 1-to-1 was a very positive number.
Earlier today, the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management and the New York City Department of Health confirmed that for the first time, the rate of smallpox infection has dropped in the city and will continue to drop. While there is nothing we can do to bring back those we have lost, the containment of this epidemic marks a significant turning point.
Jack had put in about 2,000 telephones into the armory. God bless his soul for doing that. So I could talk to my family and tell them I was all right, and find out that they were okay, which was even more important to me. And I just wouldn't have been able to bear it if I'd infected them. Thank God it didn't happen.
30,000 people died in New York. 1.5 million people died in the United States, but 60 million people died worldwide. Yes, I think if I had been allowed to control the epidemic in this city and deal with the problems that that action initiated, we would have been successful in controlling the epidemic.
Every known fact about the day the epidemic began has been documented in detail. At 07:54 on April the 1st, the killer walked into a grocery store on the corner of Spring and Lafayette. He purchased 2 bottles of water, walked out of the building and onto the subway. At 08:32 in front of Grand Central Station, the killer was seen crossing a crowded intersection, touching 6-year-old Jose Marco Ramirez on the head. He died 22 days later. In a short distance, the killer passed over 150 people, infecting 10 of them. A receipt from a jeweler's found in Mark Smith's wallet placed him at the scene at the time. Smith's was one of those 10.
All he had to do was take a speck, a pinpoint, a sample of this virus, get a lab in his kitchen, a petri dish or a brewery kit, and culture it, infect himself, and there you go, you're a weapon. He made himself into a weapon.
At 08:33, the killer entered the Cosley building and stepped into the elevator. He rode to the top floor, then back down to the lobby, where he exited the building. Cynthia Sheldon then stepped into the elevator.
We didn't find a match, not a single hard piece of evidence that would link him to anybody. The only clue we discovered was a message that he wanted us to discover. The key was the only accessory on his person. Now he knew eventually that key would lead to a door.
The rent on the apartment had been paid in cash 3 months in advance. On the table lay a copy of the King James Bible. It was open at the book of Ezekiel. A single passage was marked.
A third part of thee shall die with the pestilence, and with famine shall they be consumed in the midst of thee. And a third part of thee shall fall by the sword round about thee. And I will scatter a third part into all the winds, and I will draw out a sword after them. Thus shall my anger be accomplished, and I will cause my fury to rest upon them, and I will be comforted.
Beyond this ambiguous message, the investigation failed to discover a motive for the attack. To this day, no evidence linking the terrorist to a known organization has ever been established. The case remains open.
I lost my son, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything to help him. It's very difficult to cope with losing somebody, and just see his name on a piece of paper. Maybe he's still alive, I thought for a long time. Maybe they made a mistake. So I never saw him again.